Welcome, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. And my distinguished colleagues, Aranka, Varga, and Krisztián Széll, asked me to present about this research and also to summarize, sort of give a status report about inclusion and diversity at the University of Pécs. You can see this is the title of this presentation, but the title does not really cover everything I'm going to talk about in approximately 20 minutes. I'm going to talk about also the Inclusive University program, which is a very important and integral, significant part of inclusive initiatives at the University of Pécs. Of course, it is not the only one, but we will get to that soon. So this is not just a status report you will see. I will also talk about a university-wide, very extensive conceptualizing research, which the Inclusive University program is conducting right now and has been conducting for a while. This is also a status report about that research. All right. Hopefully I can switch slides. Right, so you can see from previous years, actually decades, that inclusion goes hand in hand with academic excellence. And there are trends in higher education which are pretty much, we cannot say they are young. Even in Hungary, we have at least a 20-year-old history of it. I will get to that. But we can see that the trends are actually pretty similar in the United States and Europe. For example, in the United States, the Association of American Colleges and Universities, which has 886 institutions, which I think to us Europeans, or those of you who are Europeans among us, is a pretty big number. What's even more significant here is that there are no states excluded from this. And of course, in the European Union, it's not just, or in Europe, it's not just the European Union countries, the members, but 48 European countries are the members of the European University Association, which is on par with the American or United States institutions. So more than 800 universities are members of the association. And you can see the mission is pretty much similar too. In the States, the mission is to enhance academic excellence by ensuring equality, while in the European Union, for the association, the EUA, there is a constant search and looking for opportunities to exchange good practices, do shared research, and give strategic advice on every level. And you can see the focus here in the United States. Of course, it's about terminology as well, but the inclusive excellence, academic excellence too, and in the European University Association, it's the Invited project, which includes 159 universities from 36 countries. I think we will upload this presentation, so I'm not going to click those links, but you can find a lot of information about each. So we can see here at the University of Pécs in Hungary, we also have our initiatives. These initiatives are more like grassroots initiatives. Let me talk a little bit about that as well. So very recent that the University of Pécs is dealing with inclusion and trying to put inclusion more into focus, not just on our level, on the teaching training level, but for the leadership as well. In 2014, you can see on the left, Ferenc Arató and Aranka compiled a very extensive descriptive conceptualizing research and released a volume which collects all the inclusive theories, tries to describe, to conceptualize research, and this volume resulted in a complex strategic plan by which the Inclusive University Program Office was founded in 2018. Of course, the Inclusive University Program, I will probably refer to it from now on as Inclusive University or the Inclusive University. So the Inclusive University Program has tried to find all the inclusive good practices, programs, initiatives from the 10 faculties of the University of Pécs. Is still trying to coordinate their work, to provide a common ground for them to communicate with each other. So works as not just, but as an umbrella organization. The Inclusive University Program also has their or our own initiatives, our own programs, from student programs to the forums which gather the inclusive programs of the faculties. So we have been doing quite a wide area. So we've been working with a lot of things. But what I'm going to talk about is at least by our standards, a very big university-wide research, and this is what I'm going to talk about the most today. So the aim of this inclusive university research, this university-wide research, is to attempt to provide a status report about inclusive and diverse practices and the state of inclusion and diversity at the University of Pécs. Also, it is trying to find correlations between the data, and also it tries to find trends. And of course, it is trying to give strategic advice, planning, or a situation report to the leadership, which is very important. The focus of this research are foreign students and students receiving affirmative actions. We will see into that, why is it that important. It is trying to find students and the reason why they succeed at the university, and of course the reasons why they do not succeed, why they do drop out. All right, so the analysis has some major factors. You can see, I will talk about that in just a moment, that the time frame we have to deal with is from 2010 to 2019. The students participating in trainings in this time frame is quite a big number, at least by Hungarian standards, so it's more than 68,000. And of course, we are taking a look at the courses in this time period, which is more than 80,000. You can see the numbers here. One of the reasons we chose that time frame is because of the Neptune Online Administrative System, which had a different name before that. But those of you who are not familiar with this, and thank you, Marketa, for bringing it up, maybe it needs some clarification, that the Neptune Online Administrative System is basically the system which every student uses to take on courses, to provide information to the university. So everything we can find about students is in the Neptune. Of course, this is like a skeleton-like data mass. So there are limitations of it. There are things which were not in the system in 2010, which are right now. Because of the big numbers, there are many discrepancies because of this. So we are trying to work with a huge, vast amount of data, which should be compiled first, and it's a big thing. So we are working with it constantly, but we are trying to find trends based on the Neptune data. And we are taking a look at students who are in 5 groups. Those students who are receiving affirmative action. The first group are the students who receive affirmative action, learning and psychological disorders. We are taking a look at disadvantaged students or students with mostly social disadvantaged situation, physically, mentally disabled students. We are looking at parents, so who have children while they are attending university, and our miscellaneous categories, the students who are disadvantaged because of miscellaneous reasons. We are also taking a look at nationality, which is a big focus of this research. Hungarian citizenship, so those students who are Hungarians, those who have dual citizenship, and one of these dual citizenships is Hungarian, and there is a foreign, and foreign students, so students with a foreign citizenship. We are also taking a look at benefits received, mostly scholarship or any form of scholarship, actual financial support, and dormitory, and the requisition of dormitory housing. And another big focus is the students' status of their education, of their trainings. You can also see we have 7 categories here: those who completed courses but not yet finished with a degree, who are on an active status, who have finished with a degree, or who have finished with a degree but without the language exam. Now, this is, I should give some side notes about this for those who do not have to face this problem in their own countries. So in Hungary, you can only finish with a degree if you have language exam. Let's not go into specifics, but it was very important that many students could never finish or never acquire their degrees because the lack of their language exam. Now, we had to introduce a new category due to the pandemic, because the Hungarian government decided to give out degrees to students who were lacking their language exams, and this requisition was lifted. So we had to create a new category which includes those students who finished with a degree but they did not get the language exam, but because of the pandemic, they received their degrees. Okay, another category is those students who left education, who just disappeared. Because of the data, we do not really have information about the reasons why they left. Those students who are on a passive status and those who finished without a language exam. Okay, so the research focus is a process-based model of inclusion. And you can see it's the input, process, and output phases. The input phase is basically for us the chances of admittance. So how and from what reason or how they can admit the university. The process is their educational success and also the dropout rates. And the output are the indicators of success. Let me talk about each of these three. All right. So I'm not going to talk a lot about these because there are vast amounts of data, but I would like to show some trends, and you can see it's beyond my technical capabilities to change because these come from actually compiled data and I cannot just change, but let me show you, like, the blue line is the number of students and the orange line is the number of courses. You can see the two correlate pretty well. Of course, you can also see that by 2010 or early after 2010, the number of students and the number of courses significantly dropped. So you can see it's also about 25% decrease. But while the number of students was decreasing, the number of courses and trainings decreased quite much more. And also on the right side, you can see the blue line are those who received affirmative action. And what's important here is the gray line. These are the not receiving affirmative action data. So those who did not receive affirmative action, the number is decreasing, but you can see that the number of foreign students is increasing while affirmative action is not. What's important here, that there are more and more foreign students coming, and we can assume now pretty safely that they are not receiving affirmative action. And we are going to take a look at their numbers too, because foreign students are getting more and more at the University of Pécs. You can also see the blue bar here are the students who received affirmative action, and also the orange line, the covering graph, is the rate of how they received it. So you can see that in early 2010s, there were quite a lot students receiving affirmative action, but not because of the rates. So the rate is getting much better, not much, but at least some like a bit better. All right, and this is the number and percentage of foreign students in this 9-year time period. The blue bars are the numbers of foreign students and the rate with the orange covering graph. You can see that their number and also the rate is pretty much increasing throughout the last 9 years. So the process state is the status of courses we should talk about. We found out that about 40% of the trainings in total, which is quite a significant number, as you can see, were finished with the required language exam. But 3.8% was finished without the language exam due to the COVID situation. Now, this number is only 0.1% where trainings were finished without the language exam, but with a successful final exam. So they just needed their language exam to get it. This figure was 5% for those who were looking forward to their finals, and about 20% of the trainings is still active. 2.8 are on a passive status. Passive status means that they might come back, might reappear in education, but we have no insight into that. What's more shocking here is that almost 30% of the training starting between 2010 and 19 was cancelled due to various reasons, and this is a vast amount of number. Now, there is no significant difference between students receiving affirmative actions and those who do not, but different specifications of Hungarian foreign students, well, we assume, so presumably cause their higher rate of foreign student success. Now, the output, acquiring a degree, which is a very interesting and important part of the research. We have separated the different types of trainings, and you can see that college and university programs, so bachelor's degrees, we found out that students of low-end humanities who received affirmative action do finish their studies earlier, but foreign students finish the earliest at every faculty. On the master's degree, it's a bit different. Students receiving affirmative actions finish their studies later, but if we compare to those who do not benefit from these actions, but foreign students do not differ. And classic undivided programs, there are two faculties where affirmative action receiving students finish earlier, and foreign students on two faculties, especially the engineering and information technology faculty, finish their studies exceedingly soon. So they are doing something very differently. And of course, it's about the specification of their programs too. I'm not going to delve into details, but you can see some trends here, and we worked, and in the end, in my summary, I will also give you some insight into this, but you can see we have studied whether they receive scholarship or not, based on the statistical data, so those who receive affirmative action, no affirmative action, and foreign students. What's important here is that foreign students receive less and less scholarship, less and less financial support, but still, according to our other data, they still finish earlier than those who do not. You can see those who did not receive any affirmative action in 2010, most of them basically received a scholarship, but now it's less. And affirmative action and scholarship is still not growing in those who really need it. Dormitory housing, which is also very important. You can see foreign students get more and more, while those who receive affirmative action are requesting dormitory housing more in a trending line. And basically it's in every respect, but foreign students and affirmative action receivers are getting more and more of that. It's a doubling number. Language exam, which is also a very important part, at least in Hungary. And in a way, it's a measure of success, but of course, in a second step, it's about whether they can get their degree or not. Students receiving affirmative actions got more and more of their language exams. So you can see since 2010, it's, well, not double, but almost, we are getting to there. And those who did not receive affirmative actions did not see this trend coming to life. And of course, the subject of mobility, it's a pretty sad thing that in 2018 and 19, those who received affirmative actions are no subjects of mobility at all. But you can also see in the other category, it's also decreasing quite much. So how can we summarize all this? What advice can the Inclusive University program and the research group can give, or what kind of opinion can we verbalize? So on the student side, we can see that foreign students are getting more and more numerous at every faculty. There are faculties at which this is more typical. Classically, for example, the medical studies traditionally have more foreign students, but at every or the other 9 faculties, the number of foreign students is growing rapidly and in an increasing rate. Scholarships and job opportunities, therefore, would be very important, not just for foreign students, but also to provide help to those who are really needing. A rental program, which is already running, but not very prevalent, should be supported by the University of Pécs, and also the geopolitical advantages of the region should be exploited. Now, students receiving affirmative actions, one of our focus groups, we have to make the mobility program more attractive. We have to advertise and organize further scholarships, better organized scholarship programs, which they can access easily, and those can access who really do need it. A rental program is also very much would be needed here, not just dormitory housing, but any kind of housing which they would require to move to Pécs and to study there. We have to build roads. Let's say it like this: we have to establish a better system of connections with primary and secondary. In Hungary, it's very typical to have university students coming from the region. So this geographical mobility is not that typical than in bigger countries. Myself, as a student, also quite a few decades ago, but decided to choose a university close to me. So it's very important to have a good connection with primary and secondary schools in the region, to have more and more students, have to establish a bigger number of Hungarian students coming there. And of course, we have to expand university support programs. Now, what's more important here, at least from the viewpoint of the organizational side, are the initiatives at the University of Pécs. We have, with the Inclusive University, successfully, and this is my personal opinion, but there are objective reasons behind it, we have achieved a more dedicated leadership. So those of you who were here at the opening ceremony have seen that the vice rector
Bálint, you are frozen.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether it's my computer, but
That's always the question in this case.
Okay, did I get back? Did I drop out?
Yes, you are here again.
So how much I've been speaking, like 10 minutes without you being
no, don't
here?
worry. It was just the last.
Yeah, the vice president,
Vice President.
Oh, great.
Lembarski,
Supporting leadership. That's where you
Okay,
start.
I'm trying to share my screen again. Not that it's that important because I could finish in a minute, but can you see it?
Mentioning the supporting leadership.
Okay, I'm going to flip through all the slides. Is the last slide actually. So yes, fine. So what I've been talking, I'm not really sure when I dropped out, but the dedicated leadership was, yeah, very important. So I was very happy to see the vice rector speaking about inclusion as such, and of course the inclusive university in the chief of directors cabinet speech, Attila Lengvarski. We were very happy to hear that, and to hear that in the context he was talking about. We are carrying on organizing our forums, which I think is a very important mission of the Inclusive University program. And of course, the initiatives at the faculties are the most important thing. So there is no need for an umbrella organization if there are no actual support programs at the faculties. And of course, what I'm talking about right now is one of the possibly the ways to move ahead from the viewpoint of the Inclusive University is further research. So this research has just started. I think it will go on for quite a while. And based on this status report, we are going to move forward and we'll continue to verbalize the results towards the leadership and of course to the faculty inclusive programs as well. And I think I can conclude here and thank you for your attention. You can see the Inclusive University's website here. Actually, this is in Hungarian, but because we had to move the English version because of the conference, but it will be back in a few days. But in the meantime, you can find, for example, Mr. Arato's and Mr. Varga's very, very extensive volume. We have uploaded it also in English. And every kind of research paper and everything the Inclusive University has compiled related to inclusive practices at the University of Pécs. So it's a pretty extensive website. I can say personally, I'm very proud of it. So if you have some interest, please check it out. Thank you so much.